Just going to wait for a few people to turn up, and let's see if we can get a decent conversation going. So, we're just going to wait, and hopefully someone will turn up so we can do our usual Let's Talk Transgender. Being hit in the face with a blue light there. Welcome back, Matthew. I did say I'd be back in roughly around 4 hours, so thank you. How you been? How has the day treated you? Awesome. Hello, welcome. So, as always, this is the Let's Talk Transgender stream. So if anyone has any transgender related questions, please feel free to ask. And I'm very good, thank you. So, let's see, do we have any questions? I apologise right now, I'm just heading over to Facebook to share this live stream. I will be right back and I'll check to see what people have put. Okay, back. I am 26. I really should change the flag behind me to the trans flag. I have been on HRT now for about 5 years. Anyone have any more questions? Shoot as many questions my way as you want, because the more questions the better. So, what age did I know I was a woman? About 11. I was about 11 when I realised that I was transgender, and that was purely because I was watching a show on TV called Teenage Transsexuals, and watching that and watching what they were going through and them explaining how they felt resonated with me, and I kind of realised all the things that I disliked about me was kind of similar to what they thought about themselves, and it really helped me to come to an understanding on who I am by watching these people. So, yes, the answer to that is I was 11. Do we have any more questions? My parents are big supporters of what I do. Both of them accepted me straight away. Both of them were willing to fight tooth and nail to make sure I was happy and I could be who I wanted. Which isn't the case for a lot of people. A lot of people, their parents disagree with it, and it puts them in a really bad position, which they can sometimes fear for their own safety because of the position they're put in, because they don't have the support system that I had. So just bring the camera closer to me. There we go. So, do we have any more questions about anything transgender related? Ah, welcome back. It's always nice to have people returning. I tend to have a lot of support from a lot of people, friends, family, which for me is good. You know, it helps when you have that support system. But for a lot of people, like I said before, if they can't get that support, then it becomes an issue, and you know, it doesn't put them in a very good position. Hello, Ellie. So, do we have any more questions? I am the eldest of 6. So I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm on quite a bit. This is my second time on today. I was on a few days ago. I tend to come on every couple of days. Every 2 or 3 days I pop back up. You're back. I don't know. My brothers and sisters, they really they're big supporters of me, just like the rest of my family. I think there's only one person in my family that doesn't support me, and he actually threatened violence towards me. And because he threatened violence towards me, he is no longer allowed near my family. And that was my uncle, who was also my godfather. He is not allowed near my parents' house. If he goes near my parents' house, my dad has threatened to kick the crap out of him if he walks into their garden. You know, walks onto the property, he will make sure he leaves very quickly. So welcome to everyone who's joining us again. It is so nice to see so many returning people. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'm kind of used to it now. I haven't seen them in about 5 years. I'm from the northeast of England, hence the name, Trans Northeast. Difficult question. There is still some amount of hate towards trans people, just like the rest of the LGBT community. There's little pockets of hate around. So it's not 100% accepted yet. But generally I don't get that much in the way of hatred towards me now than I used to. Well, thank you. It's always nice to have support. Also, anyone that has been present on majority of my live streams will notice that I'm not playing music now, as the videos I put over to YouTube, 2 of the videos got copyright strikes because I played music in the background, which is slightly annoying. So until I get some music that I can openly play, which I'm going to talk to a friend of mine, as he is a musician and he has a lot of music that I'm hoping to get a hold of, some unreleased stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to put some music in the background again. For the moment, I think I've only got one song that I could actually play and not the copyright strike. But it is an unreleased song by an artist that I know. Well, he gave me a copy of the song prior to its release. So, I completely agree, people are who they are, and if you don't like it, bye-bye. I am unapologetic about who I am. If you don't like me, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Really couldn't care less if people don't like me for who I am. Oh, I now see why someone may think I have a slight attitude problem when I say things like that. I apologise, I will be smoking throughout this live stream. Don't worry, it is not marijuana, it is not ganj, it is not weed, it is not cannabis. Yes, I know all of those are the same thing, it is a hand-rolled cigarette. Some people don't like smoking, so I try to just put that out there. And I did actually once have someone someone once asked if it was ganj, or, you know, if it was a joint. No, it's a hand-rolled cigarette. I ended up having to show them the inside of my tobacco tin just to prove that there was no drugs in it. So, does anybody have any more questions that they'd like to ask? Because I always like to answer questions. It's what I do, it's what I'm here for. So, do we have any more questions? Thank you! Pride flag! Although the colour is really bad, I am currently using a rather cheap camera, as it's the one built into my laptop, because I can't afford a HD camera. Hola! Yes, I can't afford a HD camera, so I'm currently still using the camera built into the laptop. I'm from the northeast of England. Awesome. I occasionally like to play the game Name That Accent, but no one ever seems to be able to name my accent. See, no one can name my accent. When you're from the northeast, can you name my accent? Come on, we're going to play that game now. Name the accent. Geordie. Well, you got it right. I'm originally from Newcastle. Now, I'm originally from Newcastle, home of the Geordie, but my accent isn't a strong Geordie accent. There's only a slight bit of Geordie in there. Grew up in Newcastle, and then moved away from it. Not going to give out my exact location, because I don't do that. But not Geordie Shore. Geordie Shore. No, 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 no. That shit is awful. That is not a representation of Newcastle. I hate it. Well, you'll understand this, but no one else will, because they're not from Newcastle. I grew up until the age of 15. I lived entirely in Scotchy. I was Scotchy born and bred, and at 15 moved to Walker. So that tells you how Geordie I am. The only person who will understand the Scotchy reference would be Paul. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Thank you for asking. Well, twice in one day someone's asked that. Well, it's always the polite thing to do, is if you are unsure of someone's pronouns, ask. But yes, Geordie Shore, not a good representation of Newcastle. It shows you the bad side of Newcastle. It does indeed give us a bad name. And most of them aren't even from Newcastle, they're not even Geordies. It's just called that because it's filmed in Newcastle. My sister used to watch it a lot, so I have seen a couple of episodes of it. And it makes me cringe every time I watch it. Sunderland, Hartlepool, South Shields, areas around the northeast. I will be right back. I'm going to grab another can of Rockstar. I drink so much of this shit, I'm fairly certain they should just sponsor me to do videos and drink this on camera, because I drink so much of it. I'll be right back. Seriously, do you have this in America? Rockstar? I know you have like Monster and Red Bull and stuff like that, but do you have Rockstar? This one, the pomegranate one, is really good. It's the one I drink most of. I don't know if you'll get the reference, but it has an aftertaste of Calpol. I don't know if you have Calpol over there. Will I have any surgery? I have had one surgery. Calpol is a children's medicine. It's a paracetamol-based medicine for children. Everyone in the UK knows what Calpol is. Seriously, that stuff was your childhood. It was like, if you were ill or you wouldn't shut up, parents were just like, yeah, Calpol, have it. Every child in the UK is brought up with Calpol. I think it's paracetamol based. Yeah, but after a while, it kind of got to the point where instead of, you get to a certain age and your parents are like, go take some Calpol. And it got to a point where I was no longer using the measuring spoon for it. I was just like, open the bottle and drink the Calpol. Yeah, see, I lived on that stuff as a child. Yeah, anyone's open to guest, if you want to. Although, just to be aware, this is a Let's Talk Transgender live stream, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You and Paul are next to each other? So what, he's like sat in the same room watching my live stream? Whoa, I've just noticed, for some reason, my likes have just jumped up. Thank you for the 1,000 likes, or 2,000 likes, sorry. You are now my #1 fan. I'm always open and honest about who I am.
Hello?
And everything. Hello, and welcome to the stream. So this is a Let's Talk Transgender. How are you?
Good.
Yes, and thank you for your free spin. It's given me like 2,000 likes, which is awesome. Oh, we seem to have lost that connection there. I do like that free spin button sometimes. Never know what you're gonna get. But yes. And also, yeah, thank you for jumping me up to 3rd on LGBT. My sexuality is pansexual. Thank you for the likes. You are now my number 2 fan. I'm assuming that was a free spin as well. Pansexual is that it's not the gender you're attracted to, it's the individual. So for me, gender doesn't come into it. If I see a person, regardless of gender, if I'm attracted to them, I'm attracted to them. Thank you for becoming a fan. Yes, I'm now number 1, thank you. No, I'm number 2. It did come up saying I was trending, but now I'm down at number 2. Well, thank you. I am currently number 2. Earlier today, I did a live stream, and I was number 1 for about an hour, I think. I tend not to hand out my name. My first name is Amy, and that is all you're getting. No, it's okay. You can have my first name, but that is it. Yeah, I try and keep a lot of things private, so I won't hand out my location, and I won't hand out my full name. But most other things, I'm completely honest about, and I'll tell people. I'm now number 1. You have got me to number 1 on LGBT. I'm now the feature out of 20 odd people. Yeah. It was a name that I chose when I was about 11. Yeah. Woo! You got me to number 1. No, I chose the name Amy when I was about 11. And it was something... It started off, it was any computer game I played where you played as a female character or had the option to play as a female character. And I'm going to be honest, it started off with Pokemon. I would always pick a female character, and at first it was, I need a name. What could I be? What could my name be? Amy. First name that came to my head was Amy. And from then on, every time it was Amy. So when it came to picking my name, there was no question. My name was Amy. It's what I'd always used in computer games and things like that, so I just went with it. How many genders do I think there are? I think there are an infinite number of genders. Gender isn't a binary, gender's a spectrum. With, like, male at one end, female at the other, and an infinite number of genders along that spectrum. Hello and welcome. You're joining us on the Let's Talk Transgender stream. So, does anyone have any more transgender related questions? Well, hey, I always like to welcome as many people as possible. And random, you are completely right. Education is key. That's why I do these live streams. I get people to ask questions, because by asking questions, you are starting that. Wants to guest, don't add him. Why shouldn't I add him? Why should I not add him? But yeah, by by talking about it and asking questions, answering questions, you start that education process. I'm trending again. Yay. I keep dropping to second and then back to first and second and first and second and first. You never know. But yeah. So Paul doesn't want to be on camera, but Woody wants him on camera. So we're there. Woody and Paul just want to jump between who's on. You lot are confusing me sometimes. Thank you for inviting a load of people to this broadcast. Let's see if anyone turns up. So, like, what does it feel like? Well, compared to where I was, say, 7 years ago, because I started transitioning 6 years ago, went on to hormones 5 years ago, and had surgery 3 years ago. Compared to 7 years ago, I was suicidal, I was depressed constantly. I wanted my life to either sort itself out, like, I either transitioned or I killed myself. It was as simple as that. There was no grey area. It was black and white. Do it or die. So I did it. I started transitioning, and within a few months, I felt a lot better about who I was. I felt as though I could take on the world. Because in a way, when you transition, and you are taking on the world, because a lot of people in the world don't want you to do it, and you have to do it. So yeah, I feel a lot better about who I am. I feel more comfortable being me, and I'm a lot more confident as well. You know, 7 years ago, I would never have gotten on camera and spoken to all these people. I wouldn't. I would be the person typing. Tell Woody to stop hitting you with his feet. Woody, stop hitting Paul with your feet. Yes, I have. I still have dysphoria. It never fully went away, but the dysphoria lessened over time. So my dysphoria now is centered around my chest, because the hormones didn't really do anything for me. Like breast growth wise, I had none. So, you know, I've tried to get surgery for that, tried to have breast augmentation, but unfortunately the National Health Service in the UK no longer offers breast augmentation to trans women. That was taken out 6 years ago. Yeah, roughly 6 years ago, they stopped breast augmentation as a surgery for trans women without exceptional circumstances. Yes, if you would like to guest, come and join us.
Hi, Amy.
Hello, welcome. You are live.
Yeah. So I really liked how you were so open, and I just want to learn as much as I can because I
Yeah.
really um be educated. When did you know that you wanted to transition?
Well, something never felt right. It's kind of a cliche. Everyone says that just something didn't feel right. And I was about 11 years old, sat at home with my mother, and BBC, watching BBC, and a show come on, Teenage Transsexuals. And my mother was always trying to educate herself about everything she could. If she saw a documentary like that, she would watch it, just because she wanted to know as much as possible about the different types of people out there. So we sat and watched it. And as I was watching it and they were explaining how they felt and their situations, more and more it started to resonate with me. And they didn't feel comfortable with certain parts of their body. They didn't feel comfortable in gendered situations, like gendered areas. And more I kind of, that light bulb moment happened, and I just remember thinking to myself, that is me. I am just like that. That is exactly how I feel. Problem was, I didn't come out at 11. I didn't go around telling people I'm transgender. I want to be a woman. Because I was bullied in school. I was what was considered the feminine guy in school. So I didn't want to add to the bullying. So I kept it quiet until I was in a position where I could tell people. And that happened when I'd left school, I'd gone to college, I left college, and I was getting ready to start living on my own. So I went to the doctors and explained to them everything that was going on. Broke down in the doctor's room, broke down in tears about it all, and they made a referral to our local gender dysphoria service. Um, so I got sent over to them, and their counsellors helped me. We spoke about everything, and then I got the diagnosis of gender dysphoria, and that was the start of my transition.
Oh my gosh. So even when you knew at 11 that you were uncomfortable, you didn't. Sorry, I free spun and it's
Thank
making
you
a.
for the likes, by the way.
Sure. Um, you kept it secret for so long. I can't imagine
Yes.
feeling so unhappy. Can you try to explain what it's like to feel unhappy in your own body?
Um, well, the dysphoria that I had was I had dysphoria about my chest. I had genital dysphoria. So that I think that's categorized as like dysphoria 1 and 2. So primary sexual dysphoria, secondary. Um, that was the main dysphoria I had because I would look around and see everyone that I went to school with, like all the girls that I went to school with, maturing, developing, going through puberty, and the puberty I was having didn't match how I felt. So it made me, every time I looked in the mirror and didn't see the development I wanted to see, I would get more and more depressed, more and more suicidal, and it just kept building over the 9 years or so that it did,
Wow.
until I hit 20 and I was in that position where I could do it, and all I kept thinking to myself was, I either do it now, or this time next year I'm not going to be here.
Wow.
So at 20, that's it. I just decided that's it. I'm going to the doctors and I'm getting this sorted.
Good.
Just because over those years of hiding it. And within that time, even though I knew what it was, I didn't want to do it. Because I knew it was going to be so difficult to do. I knew that by doing it, I would alienate people from me. Because not everyone accepts trans people yet. Even now, in 2018, there's still people out there who don't accept it. So, yeah, I just ended up having to do it, otherwise I'd have killed myself, and it's a very morbid subject, but I feel that it has to be spoken about.
Yeah, it does. So, you were watching documentaries with your mom, so was your mom supportive when you came out to her?
Yeah, she was. Both my parents were.
Good.
I didn't know how supportive they would be. I knew that my mother would be supportive. I didn't know about my dad, how supportive he would be, because he was always a man's man.
Mm.
You know, I spent my summers with him building sheds and doing DIY and stuff like that. So, you know, that was the childhood I had with him.
So you were scared to come out?
I was, and I knew that when I come out to my mother, I would have to come out to my dad at the same time. And I actually came out to my mother on my dad's birthday. I got very drunk, because we were on a night out with my dad, and strangely enough, we went down the local gay scene and hit all the gay clubs around there with me, my mother, my dad, my brother, a family friend, her boyfriend. We all went down the local gay clubs, which they knew I went to anyway, because I was always talking about how great a night I'd had. And got very drunk, and my dad went off to bed, and me and my mother sat up, and something kind of just snapped in me. And in that moment of I was absolutely wasted. I grabbed the letter from the gender dysphoria service and handed it to her. It was my diagnosis letter of gender dysphoria. I handed it to her and said, I need you to read that. When you read that, it will explain everything that I've been going through and I've been hiding all these years.
Wow.
And
Did she read it right then and there? Did she read it right then?
She read it right there and then in front of me, and she kind of held it together that day. And it wasn't until a few days later, when she'd been thinking about it for a while, that she actually started crying about it. And she went through a period of mourning, because in her mind she had lost a son. The son that she knew had died. And it was actually my dad, because she told my dad about it. Because by that point I was living on my own. I was living in the city centre. I'd gotten away from the family home, so I could be myself. And I got a phone call from my dad, and he'd said that this had happened. And, I had to go talk to her about it, and we did. And she was crying that she thought she'd lost her son, and it was me and my dad sat and explained to her that she hadn't really lost her son. She'd gained a daughter. Which now she finds quite funny, because when people ask her, oh, how many kids have you got? She goes, well, I've got 6. It used to be 4 boys, 2 girls. Now it's 3 and 3. So she has a joke about it now, which is quite funny.
I love that she watched those with you.
Mm. She
Because
still does. Whenever she sees a documentary about anything transgender related, she watches it.
I love that. Random RJ said, what do you think about gender and sexuality when it comes to trans company?
Yeah, I need to go through some of these because the people have been asking questions while we've
Yeah,
been
sorry, I
talking.
just.
It's okay. I try to get to all of the questions that I can. But what do I think of gender and sexuality? Gender and sexuality are not linked at all. Gender identity is completely separate from sexuality. So a trans person can be straight, a trans person can be gay, a trans person can be bi. It doesn't. There's no correlation with it. Like, I myself are a trans woman, and I'm pansexual. And I know plenty of trans people who are straight, gay, and everywhere in between. So what else have we got? Fucking Rainbow Potato. Which YouTube channel are you talking about? Is it the acting one that I did? I don't even know if you're actually still here. Started collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards again. Sadly don't sell the originals. Yep, I'm right there with you. Wish they did still sell the originals. Let's go back through some of these questions. Oh no, that's it actually. So yes, if anyone else has any more transgender related questions, feel free to ask. You love my voice, it's comforting. I don't think it is. Yeah, my voice. Hormones are a wonderful thing. The one thing they don't change is a trans woman's voice. Because unfortunately the damage is done. Male puberty thickens the vocal cords, which causes you to have a much deeper voice. The only way I could change that is through a long process of speech and language therapy, which I did and didn't help. Still have the same voice I already had. Thank you for becoming a fan. Sorry, I'm sitting stroking my dog at the same time as doing this. Yes. Sometimes you'll just lie there perfectly calm, and then others you'll do what he's doing now. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Aww.
Yes.
How is it like? So, I mean, I feel like everyone knows Gigi Gorgeous and everyone knows Caitlyn Jenner. And they both said that dating as a trans person is so hard, and it's hard to know.
It really is difficult. Thank you, Sasuke.
And I always think about it because some people think that they're so entitled to know and feel like you have to tell them right off the bat, but then
well,
it's definitely a personal preference, but you feel like you have to tell someone right away?
Well, in the UK, there is a law that not many people know about, and it's if you are going to have sex with someone, you have to tell them you're trans. By law, you have to.
Wow.
And if you're going to have sex with someone, it's called the sex by deception law. And it was brought about because there was instances of trans men sleeping with women who didn't know they were trans, later found out they were trans, and freaked out about it. And said because they lied that they couldn't actually have given consent because they lied about who they were. So because of that, that law came into effect, sex by deception, and now legally you have to disclose your gender identity prior to sleeping with someone. So because of that, if you don't intend on sleeping with them, you can date a little bit before you disclose it, but it is always preferable that you do disclose your gender identity. Whenever I've dated, I've always, because I did online dating, for me that was the easiest way to date as a trans woman. And because of the way online dating works, on my profile, the first line of my profile was, I am a transgender woman. If you don't like it, leave now.
Good.
If it doesn't bother you, let's chat.
Good.
So right from the start, I was open and honest about it. And that isn't just to disclose that gender identity in case I hook up with someone. It is also to protect me. So I, know that when I go on a date with this person, they already know I'm trans. So it's not going to come up while we're dating and they're going to freak out, and I would be potentially putting myself at risk by doing that.
Yeah.
I got it all out the way.
I'm like so blown away by that law.
Yeah, I didn't know that much about it. Thank you, Sasuke. I didn't know that much about it until a few years ago when I was asked to do a lecture at a university. Was a guest lecturer at Durham University for their social work students. Because part of the syllabus for a social work degree is you have to discuss LGBT. So because of that, none of the staff there were trans, so none of the lecturers knew anything about trans issues and what it was like to be trans. So me and a few others were asked to go along and teach them about what it meant to be trans and how best to work with young trans people from a social worker standpoint, which wasn't that difficult for me because I was a youth worker at the time. And youth work and social work kind of overlap quite a lot. So I was asked to go along, and part of it was I decided I was going to have a look at the legislation that affected trans people, and that was one of the ones that came up, was the sex by deception. So I ended up spending about 2 days researching the sex by deception law, and, if anyone had been prosecuted from it. And it's very rare that it happens, but it has happened. People have been prosecuted under this law, and the law works off precedent. If someone sets a precedent in law, it can happen again and again. So there is always that chance that it could. So I felt I had to tell these people about it so they can then inform others that they were potentially going to work with as social workers to help make sure everyone was safe.
I thought that, in my mind, maybe it's because I'm a dumb American, but I always thought that England was pretty forward as well. Do you feel like safe where you are?
They are. There is legislation to protect trans people. So we have the Equal Opportunities Act, the revisions to that. The 2010 revisions. Okay, wait, I need to move the dog because he's... Go. Okay, the 2010 revisions to the Equal Opportunities Act protect anyone who is undergoing gender reassignment, is the way the law describes it. And that is any time from the moment someone says, I'm going to transition, they are protected under that law. They cannot be discriminated against. It is illegal. It becomes a hate crime if it's because of their gender identity that something happens. They are also protected under the Sex Discrimination Act for the workplace. So employers cannot openly discriminate against someone based on their gender identity. So in a lot of ways it is very forward, but in a lot of ways we're still behind other countries. So things like Ireland, they brought in a law which allows self-identification. of gender. So in the UK, we have something called the Gender Recognition Act, which after 2 years of living in your chosen gender, you can apply for a gender recognition certificate which changes your birth certificate to match. Unfortunately, it costs money to do it because it has to go through the courts, so you have to pay court fees and stuff like that to do it. But in Ireland, they decided they were going to go in an opposite direction and allow people to choose. So at any moment, they can petition the courts to say, I want my birth certificate changed. So it's a much easier system for them. Because I know in America there's been a lot of problems regarding the way trans people are treated. You know, with the Trump administration, are kind of against the LGBT community.
Right. Have you ever been in situations where you didn't feel safe?
I've been in a few situations where I didn't feel safe. One of them was I was on a night out in a gay club, or what I thought was a gay club, because it had always been a gay club, and someone pointed out my gender to their friends, who then continued to misgender me, refer to me solely as a drag queen, refer to me as just a man in a bra, and just continue with that, and it got worse and worse, to the point where I thought that I was going to be in danger. Luckily, I knew one of the bouncers at this club, who helped get everything sorted. But if I hadn't have known one of the bouncers in this club, if he had been, say, at a different club that night, which is possible because the bouncers in the clubs where I'm from move around night to night, they're assigned different places because it's just a couple of companies run all of the door staff for nightclubs. If he hadn't have been there that night, I might have been in danger. But that's happened a few times. Just walking down the street, I could sometimes feel like I was being followed, or, just being stared at constantly can make you feel like you're in danger. Sorry, wait there. Phone's flashing.
I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I'm gay, and I've had a lot of discussions with people on my team about when to start teaching and informing about gender and sexuality is taught a little bit later, but a lot of my colleagues don't think that it's appropriate to talk about the spectrum and everything. But when do you think it's a good time to start? Because there are kids that might feel...
Well, the studies show that people are aware of their own gender from age about 2. There's been children as young as 2 who have expressed that their gender doesn't match them. So I think as early as possible would be best, because education is key. If you want to stop discrimination, then you have to teach it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I was a youth worker. I worked with people as young as 2, and I would explain it to them. But when I worked with, one of the groups was 2 to 8, and it was an autistic group. So I worked with a group of children who all had autism, and their parents were present. Their parents were always there. because it was kind of they come in, we worked with the children, and they got to sit and chat amongst themselves, talk to each other about what works for them with their children to help each other. And I always taught it. I always spoke about I'm transgender and this is what it means, and none of those parents cared. Most of them actually quite liked the fact that someone was talking about it.
Good.
But, the people I worked in an environmental project. It was a 2.5 acre community garden that I worked in. So the people that I spoke to were very, they were very open about all sorts of issues. They were all environmentalists. They were all, they were always protesting and stuff like that. So that was the kind of audience that I had, was the people who were always open to discussing things that are wrong with the world. And I don't think I would have gotten away with it if it had have been, like, I don't know, a Catholic school or a religious setting. I wouldn't have got away with that.
Mm.
I drink way too much of this stuff. Rockstar.
You were telling me that your pomegranate was the way to go.
Yeah, this one. It's blueberry, pomegranate. There we go.
Are you like immune to caffeine?
This is my 3rd can. And what's the caffeine content of these things? It normally tells you how much caffeine. 32 milligrams of caffeine per 100 ml of liquid.
Wow.
And this is a 500 ml can. And this is my 3rd. And it's currently 7:05. And I can guarantee I'll be asleep by 11 o'clock tonight.
Wow. Not me.
It's called 8 years of drinking energy drinks. I used to buy them by the case. So, yeah, over here they come in 12 can cases. I used to buy them by the case every 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd drink like 12 cans in 3 days. That's what, 4 cans a day?
Do you like it more than like soda?
I don't really drink much soda. I drink diluted juice.
Oh, okay.
So like concentrated juices, you just add water to it. I drink that, and I also drink energy drinks. Occasionally I'll drink tea as well.
How English of you.
Very English. What makes it worse is my favourite tea is Earl Grey. More English. I drink Earl Grey. And I drink it the correct way as well.
What's the correct way?
The correct way is black, so no milk, with a hint of citrus in it. So it's normally served with either a wedge of lemon or lime for the citrus. That is the correct way to drink Earl Grey.
Try that.
So yes, that is probably the most English thing I ever do. Whereas my partner drinks coffee.
Oh, you're not a coffee person at all.
I hate coffee. Stand coffee. She'll drink about 10 cups a day.
You guys, neither one of you have no problem sleeping?
Nope.
Good for
Occasionally I'll go through a bit of insomnia, but it's not because of the caffeine. I can cut out all caffeine and I'll still not sleep. But if I cut out all of the caffeine, I do go through withdrawal symptoms. So I get headaches, I get sweaty, I shake. And that's purely because I'm not getting any caffeine into my system. and so long drinking energy drinks, my body has become accustomed to the caffeine, so it needs it to survive. Or at least it thinks it needs it. I did
Oh my gosh,
once.
are you engaged?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Thank you. We got engaged the end of April last year.
Wow.
Would have been married this year, but weddings are expensive.
I hear that.
And because I'm pagan, it would mean having 2 weddings. Because I would have to have a legal ceremony and also a pagan ceremony as well. Because pagan weddings aren't legal in the UK.
I'm not sure what that means. What that is, sorry.
So pagan wedding is called a handfasting. It's when you are bound together. So they'll normally use ribbon or cord to tie you together.
Oh, okay.
And it's always done outdoors. So I attended a pagan wedding that was a pirate wedding last year. And when I say attended, I performed at it.
Oh, wow. What did you perform?
I do acting with a group called the Historical Combat Group. So we mostly do combat. So we do sword fighting and stuff like that. So we were asked by the groom to stage a mutiny at the pirate wedding. The bride had no idea it was going to happen. Halfway through the ceremony, when the person conducting the ceremony, who happened to be one of our members, so, you know, we'd all gotten together and we worked out exactly what we were going to do when, and she had said, does anyone know of any reason why these two cannot be married? And one of our group stood up and said, yeah, I do, and started a mutiny. The pirate wedding was the groom was the captain. And, you know, he was bringing in this other woman onto the crew and didn't like it, so we mutinied against him. So we had half of our group was on the mutiny side and half was on his side. And on the dock beside the ship, we had this huge sword fight.
Wow, I can only imagine her face.
Well, I've done pirates. Actually, I did 2 pirate gigs last year. I've done Romans. So I did a Roman gladiator gig, in which I played the newest gladiator slave. I've done stage shows, because they run one called the Weird Tales, which is they take stories from legends. So I've done the Viking tales, the Norse tales, and I also did Welsh tales as well. And it's all improv. We all know the stories, we know how they go, but we just make it up as we go along.
Oh, wow.
Anything we want as long as we stick to the story. Which was great fun. For the Viking one, I played Loki. So yeah, I've done that, and I've been doing that since June last year.
Oh, wow.
So we always tend to upload the videos to YouTube as well of what we did.
Oh, you have a YouTube channel?
I have a YouTube channel that's linked to these live streams.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I do a live stream, it tells everyone on YouTube that the live stream's happening, so they can either watch there or watch here. And the group that I do the acting with also has a YouTube channel. They are the Historical Combat Company on YouTube. So some of their acting stuff is on there, the stage shows are on there. The gladiator stuff's on there. Unfortunately, the pirate stuff isn't, because we couldn't get a decent video of the pirate stuff. But the gladiators and stuff's on there. Dog and cat are fighting. Sasuke!
Oh, you have a cat too?
I have a dog, a cat, and 4 rats.
4 rats!
Yeah.
Good for you. Sorry,
Yeah,
my girlfriend just got home and she's like, "What are you doing?"
But yes, all of my social medias are linked to the account on here. So I've got my Facebook page, my Twitter, and YouTube are all on here. So if you want to, you can head over to them, check them out. I can, if people want to, link the Historical Combat Company's YouTube so people can check out the stuff we do on there. So that's all the acting side of it. Personal favourite of all of the videos is the Gladiators because it was so much fun to do and it was my very first show. And I literally get the crap kicked out of me by a couple of gladiators. Like, much bigger people than me. These big guys just drag me into the arena and give me a kicking on the way. So it's really good fun.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Thank you for talking to me and teaching me so much.
You're welcome. I like talking to people who just want to ask questions.
Yeah.
I get a lot out of it as well. And, you know, I like to try and educate people about everything transgender that I can. So, you know, I do these live streams every couple of days normally. So, keep a watch out and I'll definitely be doing more of them. But you're welcome round. I'll be doing this one for at least another, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour.
Perfect. I'll definitely be back. I'm gonna head out and get some shopping done. But I've definitely learned a lot. And I'll definitely
Well,
check
it's
it out.
been great talking to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you. Now, does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask? My dog has returned after he's just been playing with the cat. Yeah, I heard you. I'm fairly certain you hurt him. Okay, Sasuke, down. No, down does not mean jump down and back up again. So I'm from the northeast of England. So I've had one surgery done. I had gender reassignment surgery done 3 years ago. I would still like to have breast augmentation, but I can't afford it. It is rather expensive. So unfortunately I can't have that done. That is actually the only surgery I want. I don't want any facial surgery done or anything like that. I just want breast augmentation done, and then that is it for surgery. Because I'd rather not go under the knife for things that aren't necessary. Okay, sorry, I have to move this dog because he's getting in the way now. As much as I love him, he can be a pest. Can't you? Come on. Oh. Oh, okay. As much as I love the dog, he can be a pain sometimes. I am a girl. So if you're just joining us, this is a Let's Talk Transgender. And we are discussing anything transgender related. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer any more questions people may have. So, does anyone have any questions? And what did I do that is wrong? I wouldn't say it's rude, but for some people... Hello, welcome back! But yeah, for some people, dating primarily trans people can be a little bit off-putting. From the trans person's perspective, someone approaches them and says, you know, I only date trans people, can make you sound like a bit of a chaser. And a chaser is someone who kind of fetishize. Yeah. They have a fetish for trans people, which isn't the best thing, because a lot of trans people don't want to be dated because they're trans. They want to be dated because the person genuinely is attracted to them as their, you know, gender. So it's like, I wouldn't want to date someone who is only interested in me because I'm a trans woman. I want someone to date me because I'm a woman and they're attracted to me for that reason. But yes, tell me, what did I do that was wrong? I'm more than happy to discuss things. What did I do that's wrong? No, you didn't. I have two comments from you. I have two comments. You look like a girl, but with voice man. And with all respect, but you know what you did is wrong. They are the only messages. What you have to know is that YouNow does censor some messages if there are certain words in the message. YouNow will remove them. So if you did post something, it was censored and I cannot see it. Welcome back. You're both back. Well, you and I believe in different things. And there's nothing wrong with believing in different things. I respect that everyone's entitled to their own religion. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. But do not force those beliefs on me, as I will not force my beliefs on you. And as I've said in the past, if you do not like it, you are free to leave. You don't have to stick around. If you don't like it, leave. But yes, welcome back to the people who have And oh no, don't worry, I'm not talking to you. You, like you said, with all respect, you're saying that God will be angry with me. I don't believe that there is any God there that would be angry with someone for being themselves. I personally don't believe that. But like I said, everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. If you believe that your God will be angry at someone for being transgender or being gay or anything like that, that is your belief. You are completely entitled to that, and I respect that. Yeah, I respect that that is your belief. But I don't believe in that myself. So for me, there is no God that is angry with me. All I'm here to do is talk to people, answer questions, and try and get a discussion going, because wait there, sorry, wait there. He sprayed you in the mouth with lynx. Really, Woody? With lynx? As long as it wasn't Lynx Africa. I'm sick of that stuff. But yes, as I was saying, I have my beliefs, you have your beliefs. Let's just agree to disagree on that. I've spoken to people from Egypt before. Hey, if anyone wants to ask questions at any point, feel free to ask and I'll do my best to answer, as always. I'm gonna have another smoke, actually. But I'm here to answer questions. So I'm just making a cigarette right now. Well, I don't date anymore because I'm engaged. Rolly! From my rainbow backy tin. And it's good old Amber Leaf. Yeah, no, when I did go out on dates, I dated both men and women. But I don't date anymore. Yes, I have watched RuPaul's Drag Race. I think early on it was quite transphobic. It is getting a lot better now. They've had openly transgender people on the show because some people want to try and prove that drag is not a mockery of transgender. It's a mockery of the gender binary. It's a mockery of gender in general, gender stereotypes. It mocks it. So what RuPaul's Drag Race is doing now is a lot better, and they are all about education. RuPaul is actually educating. Welcome back. And to be honest, liking RuPaul's Drag Race as a trans woman, it is interesting because within the trans community, RuPaul's Drag Race is absolutely hated and despised. I know a lot of people that openly will say that they hate RuPaul. They cannot stand him as a person purely because they think he's transphobic. And there have been instances where, yes, the show was transphobic. And I believe one of the former contestants who later transitioned did did call Rue out on it. But there have been lots of other trans contestants who've said that RuPaul has helped them in their transition. He keeps farting. What? You two are mad. You two really are mad. It was Carmen Carrera who called Rue out on it. And I like Carmen Carrera. She's a big fighter for the for the trans community. She's a big supporter, and she's trying to change things for the trans community in America. But yeah, gay is not a sin. Two rights. But the way that it all went down wasn't the best. I think she could have done it a lot better. And RuPaul, after that, did change things on the show to eliminate that transphobic element. So, my opinion is I like the show. I cringed at those early seasons. They were cringe-worthy, some of them. But the later ones, like you've had Monica Beverly Hills has gone through it, came out as trans on the show. The last season, season 9, had Peppermint, who was an openly transgender woman, who was also a drag artist. So it does have some positives to it. Love is love. Exactly. So, do we have any more questions? I don't think Caitlyn Jenner is a good representation of the trans community. I really don't. And there is so much more that she could be doing as a celebrity to benefit the trans community, rather than benefit ourselves. Smoke in the eye. Ow! Why does that hurt so much? She is kind of homophobic. In fact, when she was on Ellen DeGeneres' show, she openly admitted to not supporting same-sex marriage. Which, from a member of the LGBT community, that is not the best thing you could do. I really need a better camera, because this camera sucks. Hey, if anyone knows where to get a decent HD camera on the cheap, tell me, because I'm short on cash and I need a better camera. Because this one sucks. It's the camera built into the laptop that I'm using. And I need a better one. So, does anyone have any more questions? I used to be a professional. I used to run training courses for people who work with transgender young people on how to effectively work with them. So I used to do this professionally. I used to run a training course in Newcastle called Trans 101. So, unfortunately, itch there. Unfortunately, I don't do this profession anymore, so I don't get paid to do this. I'm doing this entirely for free because I enjoy it. Although if I could find a way to do this and get paid as well, that would be awesome, but for now, I'm happy. I have noticed you, Woody. Don't mind. Don't worry. I noticed you. I noticed you prefer to be called she comment. I just didn't know if you were joking or not. It is nearly 20 to 8 now. I have heard of guys who only date trans women, and as I said earlier, that is correct. It is 7:37 p.m. I did say nearly 20 to 8. I have heard of guys who exclusively date trans women, and it is for the trans women, it is not always seen as a positive. They want to be dated because they're women, not because they're trans. There are lots of men out there who have fetishes for trans women. They're called chasers. Trans chasers. Used to be called something else, but that is a horrible word and I hate it. But there are still loads of men out there who have a fetish for trans women. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying that there are men out there who do it, and people aren't always comfortable being dated because they're trans, because they don't feel that their gender is fully accepted. If they're dated because they're trans, they want to be dated because they're a woman, not because they're trans. Like, my fiance doesn't see me as a trans woman, she just sees me as a woman. You know, she's a lesbian. She's never been with a man in her life. And she doesn't see me as trans. It's freezing where you are. It is pretty damn cold here as well. It's not as cold as it has been. It's warmed up a little bit, but it was pretty damn cold. But I will tell you roughly what temperature it is. Neither. Gonna say neither to those. I don't like either of them. It's 9 degrees Celsius. That would be 49 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's actually quite warm at the moment. Yeah, I don't like either of those two. DM. If you wish to send me a message that isn't on here, you can always hit me up on Facebook or Twitter. Both of those are in my profile under the social media section on there. If you wish to head over. Well, like I said, if you head over to, in fact, Twitter would be better. If you head over to Twitter, Trans Northeast on Twitter, you will find me. You can always send a message there to ask questions. And also, if anyone wants to guest, they're more than welcome to do so. I quite like talking to people. That's fine, take your time, guest whenever you feel comfortable doing so. But as I said, I'm more than happy to talk to pretty much anybody. And as I've also said, hit me up on social media, check out YouTube, check out the Facebook page, Twitter. Mostly all I do on Twitter is announce that I'm doing these live streams. Thank you for becoming a fan. I could always do with more of those. So yeah, you know, lots of ways to follow me. All of the live streams that I do always end up on YouTube. Quite gutted I've had to stop listening to music on these live streams because I was getting copyright strikes on YouTube because of it. I've had to remove 2 videos because they were tagged for copyright. Some of the songs I used weren't allowed. So yeah, I had to remove those videos. 5 copyright strikes on 2 videos. It's not good. I'm hoping to get permission from a friend of mine to use his music on videos. It is the same name on here as well. I will check Twitter. I'm from the northeast of England. As I did earlier, I played a game of Guess the Accent, at which one of the people here guessed it immediately. Mostly because they're from the same place as I was brought up. Well, England is a lovely place, and depending on when you go, the weather can be very nice. I'm looking at Twitter, but I have no notifications on there. July, it's very nice in July. Hello, welcome back, Ellie. Whereabouts in England are you going? I have actually checked Twitter, and I currently have no notifications on Twitter. Thank you. I like wearing this hat, because it hides my hair, which is normally a mess. London. London can be quite good sometimes. Oh, wait there, I just had a notification. Oh, someone followed me. Okay. Yeah, London can be quite nice. There's a lot of really nice places around there as well. Like my partner's from Brighton, which is in Suffolk, which is south of London. It's on the channel between England and France. Really beautiful countryside as well. And like I said, I live in the northeast of England. A little bit colder up here, but we have the best countryside in the entire of England. Was about to say the UK, but Scotland's got nicer scenery. Yeah, the northeast. Sorry, I've just laughed at that, Ellie. That was quite funny. Yeah, so Northumberland countryside is beautiful. I love walking around it. There's some really nice places to visit, like Simonside, which is a hill. If you like hill walking, beautiful scenery around there. It was very funny. Thank you. I like when people make me laugh. Oh. But yes, as I've said in the past, you know, hit me up on social media, Facebook for the love of gender, Twitter Trans Northeast, and also YouTube Trans Northeast. All of these live streams do go over to YouTube, so please, check them out, share it around, because the more I can engage with people, the more we can start to educate. And as I've said before, education is key. So, do we have any more questions about anything transgender related? And it's okay if you don't think of one now, and you sat later on and you think of a question. Hit me up on social media, ask your questions there. And if you do message on Facebook, then please address it to Trans Northeast, as there is another admin on there who deals with the male to female side of it. Well, thank you very much. But yeah, there is another admin on the Facebook page who deals with the male to female side. So if you want your questions addressed to me, please remember to put Trans Northeast or address it to Trans Northeast. That way, if the other person picks the message up before I do, they will know it's for me and not them. Yeah, so... and also, if anyone has any questions that they would like answered that I haven't answered in the live streams, ask them on social media and I'll put together a YouTube video answering all of your questions. I'll be right back because the dog is barking, which means he wants something. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's the same page, there's just two admins on it. So it's For the Love of Gender. If you go onto my profile on here, there is a link to it on the profile. So, does anyone have any more questions? And also, for those that were here when I was discussing YouTube earlier, after this live stream I will put a link to the other YouTube channel that I'm part of, which is Historical Combat Company. I just appear in their videos. I have nothing to do with the making of the videos. I'm just an actor in them. We're going to ask, what's the best way to find other trans people to date? I don't know, because I think I've only ever dated two trans people. And they were people who I'd met through friends of mine. So I'm completely unaware. I think OkCupid has transgender on there, so you can find other trans people. But I would say the best way to do it is online dating, unless you are part of a local circle of trans people, like I was. We all hung out together, mostly to support each other through transitioning. So I'm sorry I can't be more help there. But I will be ending this in a few minutes, so I think we have time for one more question, if anyone has a question to ask. So if anyone has any more questions that they would like to ask, feel free to ask them before we end for the day. Cool. So, it has been awesome talking to everyone today. We had an awesome guest earlier. So yeah, I think we're going to end it there. It has been awesome talking to everybody. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as I said, if you had any more questions that you wanted to ask, or you didn't feel comfortable asking on here, hit me up on social media, ask there, and I will put together a video for YouTube answering those questions. So it has been awesome talking to everybody. I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!